infinite ammo.
Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a IAS spoiler cast for the Defenders. Kind of takes a while to get this one out, but this is, for those of you who don't know, this is basically where we're going to be talking about the Defenders as a whole, what we thought of the TV series, and obviously we're not going to be holding back on any sort of spoilers or anything like that. So, yeah, this is basically just where we're going to be going over the series and our general thoughts on it. So. This should be fun. I've actually been waiting to talk about this for a while. So obviously, we're just going to do some. I guess we're going to go ahead and start with some of the intros here. So I'll just go ahead and say, I'm Captain Chaos. I'm going to be hosting this one, and obviously, as always, I have with me Renegade Operative, the main host here.
Hey people, how's it going? Can't wait to talk some Defenders and some Luke Cage coffee.
Yeah. We also have Brandon, but he'll be joining us off and on because he's apparently busy. So, yeah, I'll just answer for him. Hi, I'm Brandon. Anyways, okay. So next, we have. I'm just gonna go with his Discord name because Bartain.
Yeah, you got it right. Hi guys, I've seen the show. This is my first time on an IS podcast, and hopefully, I can provide some good input and see what happens from there.
Awesome. Last but not least, I think it's we got Bane.
Yep,
Bane.
you got me.
Awesome.
I had to finish this show in one day.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's pretty tough and time consuming too.
I also had to work for like 6 hours, and I was like, crap, I'm not going to make it in time.
I don't binge watch a lot of shows. Even shows I really like, it's hard for me to binge watch because it's just very time consuming.
Yeah,
I will say... Go ahead.
I was going to say, completely off topic, the only show I ever binge watch whenever a new season comes out at this point is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I don't know why, but I'll spend like 6 hours watching that show completely.
I will say one thing. I do like the format of 8 episodes. I think this shorter, concise format is what the show needed in terms of binge watching, because it's rather easy once you get the chance to sit down and consume everything, as opposed to 13. 13 seems a lot more longer. That's why I'm glad they put these shows on like Fridays or something, because I don't have the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's better if the show is shorter and just generally more condensed and focused, because if it's not, and as we've seen with some other Marvel Netflix shows, if it's not, then it does tend to drag, and it doesn't really go anywhere in some points in the show. So it being too long is sometimes really a hindrance.
I mean, even with like the ABC shows they have, I mean, did we really need this many episodes of Inhumans?
No, we didn't. That's another...
So we need an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show is my real question, but...
Inhumans is another story entirely.
I don't have enough liquor on hand to watch that.
All right, so I suppose we should go ahead and get into this. So we have question number 1. I'll just go ahead and read that one. Tell us your overall thoughts on how you felt about the first season of The Defenders. What traits were good and bad about the show, in your opinion? I'll just go ahead and give my opinion. So I think The Defenders was good. I think it was a good show. I can't speak on how faithful it is to the comics or anything like that. I haven't read the comics.
Oh. It's
but,
nowhere near a different set of people.
Which might be a good thing, to be honest, because how comics are going. But yeah, the first season was good. I think. Okay, so I'm probably going to talk about this series more in detail as we go on in this podcast, but I'll just kind of briefly like do a TLDR of like my issues with it. So. As I was saying before this podcast, I think Sigourney Weaver's character in particular, the villain, She's kind of set up as being the villain of this, and there were some interesting things they did with her character. Like, they say that she's like the oldest member of the Hand, and she's, I guess, the even more powerful than Madame Gao. And I felt like she could have been a very intimidating, very powerful villain, and she's just not really. She's not really utilized as much as I would have liked. She gets killed off by Elektra, and I don't know. I just didn't know how to feel about that. I thought that was one of the weaker parts of the series, in my opinion. And also the very beginning of the show where they catch us up on everything, all the characters in like the first two episodes. Well, first few episodes, actually. The ending of the third episode is really good. I actually really like that. I like how the ending of the third episode is where the series, I think, really gets going. Before that, it's just really dull, I think, because we're just recapping, or well, not recapping, but just catching up with these characters like Luke Cage, and it is just kind of introducing them again. And I feel like the reason behind that is because they wanted to catch people, like casual viewers, up with these characters who are people who haven't seen the other shows yet. So they kind of wanted to catch them up on these characters if they haven't seen them. And that's fine. I just feel like it could have been far more condensed than how it was. That way we could have gotten into the main plot much quicker, and therefore by the end of the series it wouldn't be quite as rushed. I think the point after that, like the middle point of the series, is really good. Like everything else about it is great. I think a lot of the actors and the characters had pretty good camaraderie, had really good chemistry. But you know, it was good for what it was. The ending was good. I really liked everything else aside from like the first, maybe the very beginning of the series. I thought it was good. It's not the best Marvel Netflix show, but it was it was good for what it was. I would have to say, you know, if I were to give like a number scale rating, I would say maybe like a 7 out of 10. I didn't like it as much as like Daredevil. I thought the first season, the first two seasons actually of Daredevil, I actually preferred over Defenders, but I still thought Defenders was pretty good. I don't think it was as great as everyone was kind of hoping it would be, but it was good for, you know, what we got out of it. So, I mean, I guess that's what matters. But that's my overall opinion of the show.
Yeah, I think people were expecting a next scale Avengers type, something like that for this show, and it really wasn't on that hype level. I would say this show, it has problems. It was better than Iron Fist, at least in my opinion, because they actually conveyed some plot points and some interesting crossovers rather well. But
Danny more of a character also.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get to that question.
As a dumbass, to be fair.
He's
yeah, I was gonna mention that too. Like Danny's character in this is definitely a step up from Iron Fist.
Yeah.
I think the fight choreography too is also in general better. The scene in episode 3 though that I did notice, you know, there were some editing tricks they used and cut away at certain points, but aside from that, I mean, the fights were okay. Definitely better than Iron Fist.
Yeah, I think the show, it's a prime example of a good crossover. I mean, it wasn't, like I said, Avengers tier, but it was something interesting to watch, at least. It did have these slow build-up moments in the beginning, like you said, Chaos, where we catch up with the characters, and it might take a little bit too long. I did not like that, but overall, I thought it was pretty decent. The only problem I had is that, like I said, the slow build-up, and also some of the fight scenes were weird at times, especially the last one with Daredevil fighting the Hand and all the other people fighting the Hand, and you got Madame Gao force pushing everyone, and I was like, oh, this kind of weird, you know, how they filmed all this and cut it and everything. I didn't like it, but overall, I would say it's a decent watch if you love the other shows. I don't know how you're gonna feel as a casual viewer. It's still a slow burn regardless with 8 episodes, so you might want to strap in. So that's what I think of it. It has some good and bad aspects to it.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, it's my turn now.
Go ahead.
Overall thoughts of the show, I actually like it. This is honestly up there as one of my favorite Netflix shows. I was fanboying over Danny and Luke Cage in the same room together, like most people was.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, come on, the heels for hire. Come on. I was not all
Oh, man.
but overall, yeah, but overall though, it's not a bad show. It's definitely up there as far as Luke Cage, and Daredevil season 2 for me as far as favorite shows. But there were a few little weird moments in the show. I will admit that though, some things didn't make sense. But I'm sorry though, my memory is a little sparse because it's been a couple of weeks since I've seen that show. But the one problem I had with the show was the main character, the main villain of Defenders. I felt like she had no development, which I'm sure is a question later on, right, Rin?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, I get to that later though. But yeah, overall, I can't think of a bad thing I have with the show other than the choreography at the end when they had the Defenders versus the bootleg hand guys.
When the budget dropped, yes.
Yeah, when the budget dropped. That and this obvious and spoiler that is not so spoiler. Daredevil is alive, even though they confirmed season 3.
They basically pulled Batman v Superman.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's dead. Haha.
He's dead, but he's in the Justice League trailer, and he's also on the promo poster and everything.
Being cock teased so hard that it's not even funny. Just fucking get it over with. Jeez.
Yeah.
You're implying death is permanent for superheroes?
Oh, there's some.
Especially for
Well,
Batman.
mostly no.
Well, for
Yeah.
Black Widow, she's dead now, so I mean, give it like maybe 5 months. She'll be back.
Yeah.
She'll be back later. Wish her back with the Dragon Balls, I guess.
Oh man. And then the spin-off Dragon Ball Evolution 2.
Oh no.
Justice League.
Justice League.
No one asked
You know, that would probably be more entertaining than Batman vs Superman, a sequel to that movie.
I think a lot of things probably are.
Okay, so it's very fresh in my mind. I just finished it about an hour prior to this moment, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Again, those first 2 episodes are very slow burns, and admittedly, I was kind of a casual watcher before I watched the first 2 episodes months ago, and just got back into it for this. And I like that they caught people up. I understand why a lot of people don't like the fact that it basically just spent 2 episodes kind of showing you, hey, they're here, and this is this person. But it does make sense. They were trying to go for the... We don't know if people who haven't watched, Luke Cage or Iron Fist will watch this, or people who are just gonna just watch this straight up. So, it makes sense, but I would have preferred them kind of cut 2 episodes, smooth it down a little bit, and it would have saved on budget a lot. But I liked it a lot. I'd say it's probably about an 8. Iron Fist is around a 7, or not 7, like a 5 for me, and
A
Jessica
5.
Jones. My biggest problem was just the plot on if we ever get into Iron Fist.
I think we did already.
Oh man, that's a shame. I would have loved to be there for that one. But yeah, I think they did very well, and if it wasn't for the ending kind of blowing the budget with the destroying building CGI, I think the fight would have been great. So yeah.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man?
And we have Sonic Kick just joined the
Sonic Kick? No.
Anthony.
That's
I don't know how I
NPC.
should refer to him there.
It's not Anthony, actually. It's a guest.
I thought that was Sonic Kick for a minute,
Yeah,
'cause
I thought it
I
was
was
too,
like,
like-
an icon. I was like, wait a minute.
Why is Sonic a do it? But no, it's the NPC. Introduce yourself, NPC.
Hey, what's going on? My name's Ernie.
And he is joining us for the Defender spoiler cast. We're still on question 1, so
Sorry, Red, I
Chaos-
think I completely botched that.
it's totally fine. So Chaos, reiterate the first question so our
All
friend
right.
Arnie could know.
So tell us your overall thoughts on how you felt about the first season of The Defenders. What traits were good and bad about the show, in your opinion?
Oh, so the best part about it, probably one of the best parts, is that it was nice when they actually got the ball rolling. Everything kind of fell in together, like everything, like it ran real well together. Seeing all the characters' chemistry and all that stuff. The problem, I think, was just, it took time to get there. Like, the first 2 or 3 episodes, you're kind of like, all right, can we hurry up and get to it?
Yeah, I would kind of say, to compare it to a different networks crossover thing, the way DC handles the crossovers of the Arrowverse, I like that. It's 3 episodes, 4 episodes, and everything's just connected really, I think, better than a couple episodes of setting up. I just wish they had something like that,
Yeah, from what I've seen of the Arrowverse, it does seem like they do a little bit more of a better job connecting the series.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like it's a little bit more casual for the Arrowverse. Like for the Defenders, it seems really forced. Because even though they're in the same world, they're in like completely different mini universes. Yeah, groups. But with the Arrowverse, like you had the Flash come in like every season like 3 times or something like that. So it was like really casual.
It's interesting how you brought that up, because how Luke Cage finds Danny in the, what was it? I think it was the 2nd episode.
Warehouse.
The warehouse. No, not the warehouse. It was Midland Circle, where he finds him like immediately. He knows where he is doing this board meeting. He knows he's in danger. He got past security. How? It's like it's quintessential plot convenience.
Renegade. It's Luke freaking Cage.
I know he's bald, he's black, but he knows where Danny Rand is.
It's Luke.
He has a GPS on him. Come on, man.
I could go a million different ways with this. I'm not gonna go any of it.
Well, I mean, okay, look.
I was gonna say black magic and just wait for the eyes to
Black magic.
Yeah, we'll say it's black guy magic. That's how he showed up, and he showed up with a Run the Jewels soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he did. I remember that song actually.
He's got bulletproof skin. Give him tracking powers. Fuck it.
True.
Well, I will say this: there is a scene where they do kind of set up why he goes there. There's a scene where I guess because the guy, the kid that he was supposed to be, keeping an eye on, he ends up dying, and he sees the paper trail lead back to Midland Circle. But I mean, just like, how did he know to go to the boardroom?
Yeah, it's super weird. It's like he has like this cognitive thinking to go, Danny's upstairs. Let me go right up there. He's in trouble. Let me save the
He
day.
probably
It's this
heading up there anyways, and then just like, oh hey, there's Danny. Fuck it.
Could have been like one of those things where like there were security guards on that floor, so he just like went there, but
Probably.
It's the hero's power, man. They're connected. It's destiny.
It is destiny. I will say that.
It's make them.
I'll take for one plot issue. It's not the worst thing that's ever happened. In all
It's
the
just
series.
so funny to me.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I could give credit. It was cool. So I can
It-
let slide.
It was a cool fight, like, at the end, so I'm not gonna knock that.
Yeah.
But I guess we can move on to number 2, so Mr. Chaos, take that
we
away.
forgot Bard.
Yeah, we forgot about Bard.
Mr. Bot, take the floor.
Sorry.
Good job, Renegade.
I wanted to move on, but I forgot.
So I'm not really that big onto like the MCU, just because I'm a little bit stranger than most people. But I enjoyed the show. I saw Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Daredevil before this, so I really liked Luke Cage. And Iron Fist, he's kind of a brat, honestly. But I thought it was really cool how they changed the tone of the MCU, because like in the Avengers and like a lot of other things, like it sounds really weird, but if you look at them, they're really bright. Like all the settings, all the lightings, like most of them are really bright, unless it's like, the bad scenes.
Well, you really hate Thor.
Sorry, what?
You hate the new Thor. Just gonna say that.
I actually haven't
Yeah.
seen the new Thor yet.
I would say like I and I'm no expert on this, but I would say like it's not technically. I mean, I guess they do have some vague connections to like MCU because they
Yeah.
reference Avengers, but I would say like to me it's like two different things.
Yeah.
It's
the
Netflix
shows don't
stuff
really
and-
cross over.
Yeah, the Netflix
Yeah.
Marvel stuff is a little bit more gritty, and I actually like that better than like MC. I still do like the Marvel movies, but I can see where you're going. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot more lighthearted in tone, and I would say that's mostly probably Disney.
Oh
Probably
no, like I totally agree. I just think it's like really interesting to see the contrast of them because like with the Defenders, like you really get into like the badness of humanity. I guess like it seems just more real and more like there. But
It's real street level stuff, really. It's like you're not gonna see a guy get his head cracked open with a car door in a Avengers movie, you know?
Oh God,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, not yet.
The
No,
kids,
yeah,
yeah.
no, Disney won't allow it.
Oh,
If what's happening with Avengers 4 is real, then maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
the bad stuff about the Defenders. Okay, I don't know why, but this is kind of my own like little pet peeve. Is I find that they were like too cooped up, if that makes sense. Like it seemed like they were really enclosed
most
all
of them
the
were just
time.
in
They were like
buildings.
trapped, and it was like it didn't seem free. It felt really cramped, and I just didn't like that feeling of it. I have no idea why I like focused on that, but I was just thinking about it. I was like, I don't like that. Like it's weird.
I could be a total pretentious asshole and just say, "Oh, it's how they directed it." They wanted it to feel trapped. It's a metaphor. I would say both. They could do a metaphor thing with it. All of them are kind of trapped by the hand, but I would say both budget and just filming constraints. Most of those issues, I think, affected this more than any of the other shows.
I have a quick question about this because I'm not as in tune as I think you guys are. But is the Punisher technically like a hero or a villain? And if so, like
Anti-hero.
Anti-hero, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because they always say the heroes, they don't kill, even though Superman snapped Zod's neck. He killed someone. We don't talk about that movie, but still, he's an anti-hero because he uses the same tactics that the criminals use, which is guns against them. So
Yeah.
So, do you think that there would be a crossover of the Punisher with the Defenders?
I doubt
yeah.
it.
I would love that.
I think they actually will do it. I think the trick is that he would be the odd duck. Yeah, kind of in the group.
Yeah,
How
because the
long until
Punisher
he
is.
would- How long until he'd shoot like Iron Fist?
I don't know. He'll probably shoot him in the head.
Well, I mean, Punisher's the type of character that like he's always kind of the guy that everybody's like staring at and watching to see if he's gonna like flip his lid or something like that. Like he's literally on the verge of snapping at any given moment. But the thing is, they're gonna keep adding in characters who are probably equally as bad as he is, at least as far as like how they deal with their enemies. So like if the rumblings of Moon Knight and other characters like that are true, then
God.
yeah. Moon Knight's freaking crazy.
Moon Knight.
So Moon Knight is insane.
Moon Knight would be
Batman.
hype.
Moon Knight makes
Moon
Frank
Knight would be
Castle
hype,
look like
okay.
a saint.
Yeah.
That is the best explanation.
I guess you could say Blade too. Like, he also, kills vampires. He's an anti-hero. So I guess they could make maybe Marvel Knights. Like, they could do something like that where it's Marvel Knights and they have all these characters like Moon Knight, Punisher, Blade, and they could put them together in their own little crossover at the end of a series. I think that would be really interesting.
Series one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah,
I think
that'd be pretty
Marvel
good.
Knights will be
Yeah,
awesome.
if they
Because Marvel
they do a
Knights
Blade
is
Netflix
generally
series.
the more adult themes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Oh, if they ever do a Blade Netflix series, I have two wishes, and I know they'll never come true. I want Wesley Snipes back, and I want him to be canon to the old films.
I
I
think
know it's weird. I want it.
Actually, you know what? You would probably be closer to getting what you want than you realize, because ever since Wesley Snipes got out of prison, he has been in regular talks with Marvel, like off and on over the last like couple of years, and he keeps saying, "Yeah, we keep talking." So I mean, it might happen.
I mean, there's already like 3 films of lore there, and it would be completely weird to know that in the MCU there's been vampires since the very beginning of all this. And the fact... Oh, go on, sorry.
Oh no, well even Doctor Strange, because technically it takes place before some of this stuff too, so it's kind of weird. Their timeline is jacked.
Oh yeah.
The latest one that's going to be really weird on the timeline is
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, where it's in the 90s.
Yeah. And Nick Fury's.
Marvel set in the 90s. What?
Yes,
well,
it
that
is.
one's where we're going to introduce the Skrulls, and
Wait, so
we're
was
gonna get
Captain
Secret...
Marvel the whole time then? What?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get Secret Invasion is what they're actually setting up.
Oh.
So, like, I think they're planting the seeds for it.
I'm thinking that is going to be right at the end of Avengers 3. There's going to be something completely big happen, and Avengers 4 is Secret War or Invasion, actually.
Yeah,
Invasion.
well, because they've been really like they won't say what the name of Avengers 4 would be because they said it would literally spoil Avengers, 3. So I mean that's got to be.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shock! What a shock!
Yeah, they did that before with Infinity War, actually.
Yeah.
That's why you use like a fake name. You go like
Codename
Avengers.
Cats or something. I don't know.
Avengers Black Fury or something, and then just wipe the rug out from under everyone once the film comes, like the film before it comes out. Just like, oh yeah, hey, we're making this movie.
I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it right now. Captain America's gonna get killed. He's gonna hit the ground, and he's gonna be green. Calling it right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it'll hurt more.
All right, so I think we could move on to the next question. That is number 2.
Another question.
Yeah, there was more
All right.
questions here. All right,
Who
so
wants to
go
read
ahead,
them?
Chaos.
Oh, do you want me to read that?
Sure.
All right. Iron Fist has been universally disapproved by the fans and is one of the worst-rated Netflix shows for the MCU. Do you think the Defenders enhanced his character in this show?
That's a good one, actually.
I'd say so.
I would say it's slight because he's
more of a character.
he's still a brat in some degree, and
They had
him
to tie his ass up.
and him getting him. That is pretty funny. And him
Maybe he likes that.
oh my god, Jesus.
That's totally his thing, man. Totally his thing.
And him getting beat up by Daredevil makes no sense because they are on par in the comics, but I did like his character a little bit more in this show because he had more conviction than he did in Iron Fist. Iron Fist, I couldn't stand him. It's like, I'm the immortal Iron Fist. I have a fist.
I am the Iron Fist.
I have
Below
to
me,
destroy.
I'm Iron Fist.
I have to destroy the hand, and it's like
Wasn't he like nothing like that in the comics? Like he was.
No, he's nothing like that.
he's a lot more reserved and calm actually in the comics.
He's actually a lot more affable. Like he's usually like the funny guy.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
he's usually the guy that's cracking jokes and being like the cool one. Luke Cage is the wet blanket.
It's really funny because in the show they seem to have that dynamic of Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Like when Danny Rand and Luke Cage were on screen, they had great chemistry as opposed to Danny being by himself or Luke Cage saying, I don't want to be with this group. You guys suck. I'm out.
I think that's actually why they have been making sure that everybody sees those set photos for Luke Cage season 2 where like Iron Fist is there.
Yes.
Because they want people to, like, because honestly, let's be fair here. They could honestly have not done Defenders and just given me Heroes for Hire season 1.
Exactly.
Yes. Dude, that would be so good.
Cancel Iron Fist. Cancel Iron Fist season 1. I don't need it. Give me Heroes for Hire season 1.
It's already out.
So you mean season 2?
Or cancel season 2. Cancel season 2. I don't need the follow up. I think Defenders kind of closed his story off. For the most part.
I thought that was funny. Just it exists. Cancel it anyway.
Get it out of here. Get all take it off of Netflix. Get rid of all of it, man. Just dump it.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I just want the Colleen Wing show. How about that?
That
dude, Daughters of the Dragon.
Colin Wing is
Danny doesn't deserve calling.
No, he does not.
Hey, I can't bitch if I was him. I mean, That's a jump.
I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'm gonna call it right now. Luke Cage is gonna smash Colleen Wing. He smashed just about every woman in the Netflix series so far. So.
Really, though?
Except for Colleen. He has smashed all except Colleen.
Well, I guess set up with one finally.
But Claire.
Yeah.
It's ironic because in the comic books, I think Danny goes with the night nurse. So yeah, it's weird.
It's, Jessica and Luke, they have a child.
Yes.
Well, and Danny technically he has a thing with Misty Knight too, so that's also I don't know if that's actually in the comics. Him and Misty Knight are a thing like they're off and on again, off again.
That's weird.
So do Heroes for Hire and Daughters of the Dragon. You do those two shows, I'll watch it.
Same here. It's like magic if they put those shows together because of the chemistry that they have with these characters.
Yeah, with Daughters of the Dragon was like Misty Knight and Colleen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, with Heroes for Hire, you could make more of a case for that, but like in Defenders, I feel like Misty and Colleen's relationship wasn't really explored.
It started to get.
They started to show a bit more.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, but in comparison to like
Danny and Luke, yeah, of course.
Yeah, they didn't really get their time to like interact until towards the end of the series, and then they kind of they plant those seeds. But I mean, even if you did just Heroes for Hire, you could just have Colleen and Misty just on the show, and kind of spin them off from there. But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
Okay, to get my input on that though, actually, I have a prediction. Maybe in Luke Cage season 2, when Luke comes in, I'm pretty confident that will happen. That the interactions between Misty and Colleen will happen. Because remember, Misty finally lost her arm, and she has a cybernetic arm now. So, put two and two together, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
If it's happened, but the cards are there, so it's up to them.
I think it makes sense because Danny is already in Luke Cage season 2, so they're trying to plant that seed regardless.
In regards to Danny's character in Defenders, I think for the most part he's not too different in terms of how he acts or anything. Like he still is like we've said, just a brat, and he's very spoiled, and he it feels like he hasn't really developed from Iron Fist and going into this show. The only significant development I feel like Danny goes through is actually towards the very end of the series, where he like after everything goes down, actually at the very end, that's the only time where I feel like Danny actually like changes as a character. He goes through somewhat of a character arc, but it's not the amount of development I would have liked for his character. But he still does get some, so I guess that's, you went somewhere with it. So hopefully that can be expanded upon in like future iterations. But that's my opinion on it.
Anyone have any thoughts on the immortal Iron Fist, the thundering dumbass?
That's actually that was what I was actually gonna say. Is that I think Stick said everything that we were all thinking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
think that's exactly what the writers were going with. Like,
there's one part though. When they had to tie him up and like Luke Cage was watching him.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that's actually when he started to change, because I felt like he really did change at the end. But I think that like that conversation and that part was really when like the seeds were planted, and like it was obvious that he was going to change into something better.
I have hope that the next season, if they decide to do another season of Iron Fist, I have hope that they're going to do a lot better, because the guy who worked on the first season is now working on another show, which will probably get canceled soon.
Inhumans?
Inhumans, yeah.
Oh, I mean, Trash.
Yeah. Scott Buck.
I don't think it was necessarily Iron Fist that caused that to be trash.
No. It was the showrunner. Because it was the showrunner for Iron Fist and Inhumans. He's actually notorious for tanking shows. Like if you
he's doing business.
Well, but the thing is, like, if you think of any TV show you've ever liked, and you think back to like a season where it just went off the rails, his name was probably attached to it. Like, 'cause I want to say like he was responsible for Dexter going off the rails when it was like at the height of its popularity.
Okay. Let me see this. Hang on. Scott Buck. Let me make sure.
Yes. Yeah. That's
wow.
his
Okay.
name.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, he started on season 2, which was where it started to slowly go downhill. Then,
Well, somehow it lasted for 8 fucking seasons.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he was the showrunner after season 6, and yeah.
Yeah. He's usually the reason why. If a show you like,
he killed
tanks-
Rome also. Jeez.
yeah.
Jesus.
Just get him on Game of Thrones, put the final nail in that fucking coffin.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to see some sources right now. Like, please, I need to see this stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show where we're going to bash this one director because he's...
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
He's poop. Just know that he's poop.
Defenders, focus on this guy. He looks like an asshole.
I mean,
Looks
let's
like-
be fair though. He did actually cast somebody in the role of Iron Fist and did not give them any time to train. Hardly. Like, I think Finn Jones said that they would typically like choreograph fight scenes like a half hour before the actual shoot.
Damn.
So it's like
Christ.
there's no time to learn anything, and that's actually why Inhumans looks like trash, because
I
they
just thought it
made it
was
cheap.
poorly shot.
Well, no.
No.
They wanted him to make the series as cheap as humanly possible, and you can't do that with the Inhumans. But
Well,
you know,
hang on. Welcome to
Here's the thing.
ABC.
yeah,
Cable television in general.
Look,
Yeah.
Look, though. Look, here's the thing, though. They had IMAX cameras too, so that made the presentation look even worse because they actually show the flaws even more.
I don't know why they would
Right.
make something so cheap and have IMAX cameras. I
Dude, it
mean,
was-
like,
it's terrible.
why?
It is terrible.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so I've only seen the trailer because I saw it. I'm like, ooh, huh. So, watching that, I was impressed that they could make IMAX cameras somehow look like shit.
Yeah, dude,
Uh.
no. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's bad enough that the Inhumans are literally like guest stars. At best, the Inhumans are guest stars in a Fantastic Four movie. Like, they cannot carry their own film. It just is not. It will never work.
Aren't
And
the Inhumans just discount X-Men?
yes, they have
Yes.
always been discount X-Men, and there's cool characters in there, but no. Mm-mm.
The thing is, if done really, really well, like if somebody was if somebody had good creative control and wasn't shit at this, I don't know how to word this properly.
Like
They
Scott
could
Buck.
Yeah, hey, if it weren't a Scott Buck, they could probably
Yeah.
do pretty well with this. Inhumans, the concept alone, you could do something good with, but why did they fuck it? Why did they fuck it up? Other than Scott Buck, obviously.
I mean, in the hands of a better director or showrunner, you could have pulled off like a Guardians of the Galaxy, because nobody cared about the Guardians of the Galaxy or were even that familiar.
So, yeah.
Until the movie came out.
Yeah. Well, because the movie version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, that team did not come into play until right at the same time as the movie did. So it's like anyone who says like, "Oh man, I love the Guardians," no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
All right,
You didn't
gentlemen.
love
So,
I didn't.
Yeah, we should.
and
Yeah,
we should move on to question number 3. So, what was your favorite and least favorite episode of The Defenders?
Oh, well, that's easy
If it
for
was in
me.
your first 3.
Favorite
It-
episode 3, least favorite 1, just because it was just the start.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get out of there.
okay, so this is easy for me. First episode I didn't like because, like I said, world building, it set up way too long. I knew these characters already from the jump. I guess my favorite episode would be the one where they finally all come together, because it's a lot of fun, a lot of fight scenes. It's incredible the way the fights are choreographed and everything. It's all fun stuff that goes down in Midland Circle when they finally come together as a team. So
Yeah.
that's my favorite and least favorite.
I would have to agree with my least favorite being the first one, as it really it should have been probably one of the best episodes, to try to get us excited and hyped for the show. Instead, it just kind of tells us what we already knew, and does kind of show some new things, but it's just not really enough to get somebody to be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch the rest of the series. But yeah, it was probably the worst episode
It's
out of
bad
all.
for newcomers, which is
Yeah,
weird.
for sure. I was going to say episode 3, but I think actually episode 4, because by the very end of 3 they do get together, but by 4 you actually see them like interact with each other, and
Yeah.
I thought that was actually fun to watch how they the banter between all of them. I thought that was great. I thought in terms of dialogue, that was probably my favorite. Just seeing them all come together, because that's the whole premise of the show. That's why that's the main reason why we're even watching, is to see these characters like come together and fight. So it was that was probably my favorite, just to see them all interact with each other finally.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what number it is, but the one right after Electra got what would you call it?
Resurrected?
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah,
Like,
that works.
I really don't like that one, just because, like, that whole thing where she's like getting trained by the head of the hands lady. I forget her name. I'm really bad with names.
Alexandria.
Yeah, that one just really bored me, and I just felt like it didn't really go anywhere, and it was just all fluff and filler. And it was like, yeah, it kind of progresses the story, but it doesn't really do much. And then I felt like that was just kind of like a dull part where they were just like, cool, we're not really doing much right now. We're gonna wait. But my favorite part was definitely like the ending one, because even though the fight scene at the end was completely crap, and like that whole force thing kind of pissed me off, I still liked it against all of my reservations against it. I was just like, God damn it, it's so bad, but I love it.
It's like, it's so bad, but you can't look away, so that's the impression I got. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, it's not doing this to me.
I'll say my favorite and least favorite are literally back to back with one another. The fourth episode, I think, is probably the best, kind of going back to what y'all were talking about, like the post fight where they're in the Chinese restaurant and they're just hanging out, having the back and forward. I like those types of scenes where you get to see the characters be themselves and kind of butt heads with each other, and make jokes at each other's expenses. But the next episode after, I do not like, because I get it. It's Elektra. We got to know a little more about what's going on with her. But honestly, I know everything I need to know about Elektra from Daredevil Season 2. I didn't need the refresher on her
Backstory.
Yeah, her backstory, her relationship with Daredevil, and how she died, and all this other stuff.
I
We figured
get
it
why
out.
they did it. I get why they did it, but I could have gone without that also.
Yeah, it just didn't need to happen. I mean, we kind of already saw some of it in one of the earlier episodes. It's like, why go back and revisit it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
Yeah, go ahead.
My favorite is hands down the episode when all of them finally meet up in the office building, when Luke Cage is
Episode 3.
busting through walls and all that shit. Yeah, episode 3.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely my favorite. Oh, and I can agree with either episode 1 or the one about Electra, because that felt a little bit out of place, because that took away a little too much screen time from the other characters that could have used more development. Like, yeah, we know more about Electra though, but I like the fact that she was more like a mysterious, silent type character throughout most of the thing.
Yeah,
Until
she was an
the betrayal
unstoppable
happened.
force.
If anything, that whole episode that's saying about her should happen after she killed her master. That way we see that would lead to that
yeah.
all the way to Mr. Relevant. Yeah, where it should have had like a dedicated episode after the fact that she killed
Yeah, I think it would have been better paced and a nice flashback, if so, because then they could show, oh, well, she's dead, so she had this little training session, maybe condense that into like 5 or 10 minutes, and then they show her master dead, and then it will have more impact.
Yeah,
She has a loaf, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, that yeah, Alexandra's death sort of. Well, it I wouldn't say it comes out of left field, but it's,
It caught me by surprise. Still.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it because you did see Elektra regaining part of herself and her memories and all that, but yeah, it was.
It happened left field though. I'm like,
Yeah,
Oh,
like I
yeah.
said before, I felt like her character they could have done much more with her than they ended up doing in the series. But yeah, I should probably. Does anybody else have not gone yet? Or I think we've gone through everybody.
I think we're good.
All right, so next question is number 4. How do you feel about each respective arc? How do you feel about how each respective arc ended when the Defenders reached a close? All respective endings apply to Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist only.
Interesting.
I mean, I can go ahead and say right now, for me, I'm glad that Iron Fist finally got a costume.
Yeah.
So,
It's something. It's an
yeah.
improvement, I
It's-
guess.
It's actually kind of a throw to one of the more recent Heroes for Hire, Luke Cage, Iron Fist comics. It's actually almost exactly that same costume. It doesn't translate well to screen, at least from what we can see so far. At least not to me, anyway. But I mean, I thought it was a nice touch that like he finally is like, "Hey, let's get to being comic book me." And I do think I think that he got less annoying. He became more tolerable with each episode of Defenders.
Yeah.
You know, by the time it came to a close, I like that happened. And Luke Cage, I love how they left the door open for him to get back with Jessica Jones, because I do feel that is the way it should go, considering how it is in the comics.
Yes.
Claire just seems more like a fuck buddy to me than a
Yeah.
actual, like girlfriend.
I tell you what, I was
okay,
kind of
Let's be real. All of them are.
yeah.
All of them are fuck buddies.
Well, the thing is, I
Except
was
for
kinda,
Colleen so far.
I was actually hoping Claire would have wound up becoming like White Tiger or something, but that didn't happen because they teased it in Iron Fist, but it
No.
never happened.
Wait,
But
is Claire White Tiger?
no, but like the way she was doing like the tiger claws in Iron Fist, like as her weapon of choice or whatever. But I was hoping that was going to be the case. But if you get to Jessica Jones, I like the fact that she's finally like accepted her powers and like not trying to hide them anymore, and she's actually like opening up alias investigations again and all that entails. And I'm really excited to see where Daredevil goes, because and they haven't been shy about it, the fact that they're going to be doing the I think it's Born Again. They're going to be kind of adapting that for season 3, so I'm super hyped for that.
All right, so I pretty much agree with everything, like, but there are some things they could fix. Like, number one, Daredevil, with his death, they could have not displayed the fact that they were doing a season 3. It might have been a little bit more of a surprise if they didn't spoil that. Since we knew Daredevil season 3 was coming out and I saw the building come down in the last episode, I was like, oh, well, you know he's not dead, right? He can't be dead because he has his own season.
Well, no, see, that's the trick. Daredevil season 3 starring Iron Fist.
Well, you know, that's actually pretty funny because Iron Fist, he did dress up as Daredevil in the comics when Matt was
Right.
gone and he took his persona. And that's very interesting. I think if they started out like that, that would be pretty cool to see this guy running around in the Daredevil suit with this glowing
That actually
hand.
would be a good idea.
Yeah, that would be pretty
you know,
cool.
for people that aren't really familiar with the comics, that would make them believe, oh, hey, Matt actually might be dead.
But
Yeah.
if they don't do that, I still wish Danny had the mask, because I hope he has it in season 2, because the fight scenes in season 1 with them cutting the camera constantly, stuntmen all over the place, it didn't make any sense, and it's something they really need to hide his face if Finn Jones doesn't know how to fight.
Yes. Well, that definitely needs to happen.
Yeah. Jessica Jones and Luke, they're gonna get together. We all know it, so I figured they would go in that route when he said, maybe. No, I think she said it to him, like, maybe you want to go back for some coffee, and he's like, maybe. Then he walks out. so I think they're setting those seeds already, and then maybe in Jessica Jones season 2.
Yeah, those seeds.
Yeah, those seeds are. God damn it! God damn it!
Oh,
I'm sorry, you left me for that joke, man. I'm sorry.
but they have that crossover. No sperm joke intended. They have that crossover in Jessica Jones season 2. Get out, Chaos.
I'm sorry that I started this.
Yeah, blame Bane.
Honestly, even from like a standalone perspective, there was no way Daredevil was gonna die. Like, I saw that and I haven't seen the comics, and I'm just like, bullshit. Like, he's not dead. Like, they would never do that.
Yeah, so I guess my opinion on this is it's mostly the same. I definitely agree that Daredevil's fate should have been ambiguous. They should not have shown that post-credit scene that pretty much, any potential just like questions regarding what happened to him is pretty much out the window. So, like we said, he's a superhero. He's not going to die. So I already anticipated, he's not dead. So, but yeah, Daredevil's fate was
an issue though.
Huh?
Oh, real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt though, but that wasn't an issue. The issue was they announced season 3. We know he's not dead.
Well, even if they didn't, that post-credit scene already shows he's alive anyway. So
yeah,
it
but
doesn't matter.
We didn't know what happened to him. Yeah, if they took away that, though, the problem is, though, even if they didn't show that scene, they announced season 3 before Defenders, so we know for a fact that he's alive.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But that wasn't an issue on their part.
Yeah, so that was probably the worst thing about it. Everything else I was fine with. I like that Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are going to be partnering up again and getting back together. I found it really weird in Luke Cage that, she really wasn't in it at all. So I guess because considering the kind of person Luke Cage is, he's supposed to be a player. So all right, it's fine. But I like that you're getting back together again. I like to see their characters together. I think Danny, actually, surprisingly enough, I like Danny's where Danny ended up by the end of the series the most out of all of them, because we wanted to see his character go somewhere in Iron Fist and in this show, and he does. It just takes him a long time to get there. But I like that he has a motivation now. He has a goal. He actually kind of becomes like we've said, a hero and not a whiny fucking bitch like he has been. Yeah. So I definitely like what happened. Where Danny ran. Ends up going at the end of the series. So that was the best. The best outcome for all of the characters, and out of all the characters, at least from what I could see. And also in regards to Jessica Jones herself, I liked it. She, like we've said, she's opening up the Alias investigations again. So it's basically just to me, it looks like more setup for another season of Jessica Jones. So I liked how everything ended up by the end of the show. So yeah, I agree. It was good. No problems here, except maybe for Daredevil, obviously.
Yeah, the Daredevil ending. It's nice to see that we're going to play tricks from the Batman versus Superman School of Writing. I'm fine with that. I guess. I think Luke Cage, honestly, I think he did really well in this one. It was nice to see him kind of flourish more of his own as a group man. If that makes sense. Like he's more
like a rope man, like an orgy.
Well, of course. I don't know how he's gonna fuck Iron Fist, but no,
oh my god!
Give him time.
Iron Fisted.
Give him time.
Is he going
Please
to end
stop.
up fucking everyone in the MCU? How long until he butt fuck Spider-Man?
He has a arm, man, saying
Oh,
like,
God.
"Look, you and me."
This has went rather left, rather fast.
Yes.
I could have mentioned my dog from Inhumans, but you'll be glad to know I cut that joke in my head. But no, it's nice to see all the seeds starting to kind of grow into. Don't even go there. I wasn't. But it's nice to see them kind of flourishing the rest of the Netflix version of the MCU, and it's going to be interesting to see in 3 years where this is all going to be. 3 years ago, nobody really expected anything other than Daredevil, really. But I'm excited.
Yeah.
Pretty much all I got. Jessica Jones, I felt the same way as all the other people did. Nice to see her starting Alias again. And Iron Fist is Iron Fist.
Yep. All
no,
right. So, anybody not go yet?
I think we're good.
All right.
I think I didn't go yet, but honestly, you guys pretty much said it all. So,
Yeah.
let's move on.
All right.
This one's going to be a fast one.
No,
Oh,
yes.
Number 5. What was your least favorite fight scene in the show?
Favorite and least favorite, actually.
Oh, favorite. Okay, favorite and least favorite part of the show.
Yeah. My God. Well, Force pushing Gal. Go ahead.
Okay, go first though. For starters, my favorite scene is definitely Luke. I mean, sorry, not Luke. Danny versus Daredevil. So it's a long way to go because remember in MCU lore, freaking Daredevil was trained to fight a war. Danny was there for I know most of his life though, but I feel like his training feels so incomplete considering how bad that he got bodied.
That
to the point where he had resort to his fist to actually win.
That scene really, really sucked because in the comics, I know it's a different lore and everything, but in the comics, Daredevil and Iron Fist, they are on par. Seeing him get beat like that is like, what are you doing, fam? You trained for 15 years in a monastery, and you can't fight a blind man that trained. His master trained him for a while as a kid, and he left him. So he had to learn by himself how to fight.
It was blind Batman, because that's basically what they're doing with Daredevil in the MCU. He's essentially blind Batman.
Pretty much, I think it's due to the fact that I think it's due to the fact that because Daredevil came out first, that's the reason why. He's
how Arrow is from the Arrowverse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the bread and butter.
He is the Batman, but not Batman.
He's Bat Arrow.
It's essentially what I call with Arrow is hey, we wanted Batman, but DC won't let us use it, even though we are owned by DC. Or owned by Warner. Warner won't let us use it, but we're owned by Warner. Haha.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fuck. Arrow has used I hate to get an Arrow tangent. We'll save this for later. Arrow uses 90% of Batman's villains and just doesn't give a fuck.
I would dare say 98% of his entire rogues gallery.
Yeah. You forgot a quarter of Flash villains because of crossovers.
Oh yeah,
and a couple Supergirl villains because Dominators. Lol. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah,
it's fine. Anyway, what do you think of the question, Bane?
I'd have to say my favorite fight scene was the boardroom fight. That's what I'll call it. It was intense. It was fun. First time Daredevil saw Elektra post Croak. I thought it was fun. It was entertaining, well shot. Third episode, great fight. Least favorite would have to be the final fight. You could really tell where they kind of realized, oh shit, we're out of money. It's they didn't decide to go full on completely insane with it and just get them all in really close angles, but they had to just recut a whole bunch of shit. You could kind of tell.
Yeah, it was weirdly cut. People were getting force pushed by Madame Gao. It was all over the place. It was erratic, but it's a shit show that you cannot look away from, which is why
it's a
I guess
fun shit show.
Yeah, it's a fun shit show, but it's cut horribly. That's why I didn't like it. I guess my favorite fight scene would be the one Bane mentioned in the boardroom. Lots of stuff going on. Nice wide angle shots of action. very well choreographed. It was incredible. I like the whole fight scene with Daredevil and Elektra in a small room. It's like they utilized everything that was in there as a part of the fight. And it was such a small enclosed area that you felt the emotion and the tension going on in that fight alone, along with the others. The others was fun as well, like Danny fighting the guys from the Hand. That was pretty cool. Luke Cage coming in, even though, you know, it's kind of weird how he just got up there. I just thought it was funny. But it's still a great fight scene overall. Even Jessica kicks some ass there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I would have to agree with both you guys in regards to the fight scenes. I mean, like with the last one, you would think that they would save their budget for the final fight. But
Yeah,
they
kind of blew the load a little early. Oh, and
that's what Luke Cage did. Yeah.
Red, I figured out a name for how Luke Cage found him, and I'm gonna get it grown. Negromancy.
Oh,
He did.
Please stop. No.
No, God.
I had to go there. In my head, I'm like, say it.
I just his phrase.
A little bit, but hey, hell, it's fun.
Well, I'll go ahead and say that I'm gonna go with everybody else on the Midland Circle fight. I thought that fight was probably the best that they had done up to that point, or period, really. But my least favorite. It's easy for me to say the final one, but actually, I'm probably gonna go and say when they're doing the in the Chinese restaurant. I wasn't too crazy about that one because they just.
I wouldn't say it was really that bad. I mean,
it wasn't.
It wasn't as good as the others. Even the final fight in a couple areas.
Well, like the one in the Chinese restaurant, because that's where the new finger of the hand that comes in that we haven't seen before shows up. Nobu's master, and it's like, okay, he shows up and you think he's about to kick some ass, and then he shows up and gets bodied like in 0.2 seconds.
Admittedly, I was like, huh, that's strange. Got your ass beat.
Yeah. Like I was expecting him to like go ham on him and like thinking, oh God, the dude, the African finger of the hand was more intimidating than he was.
Yeah, he was actually giving Luke Cage some go, which was pretty surprising considering that everyone who punches him, you figured their hand would hurt or something, but this guy was going in, so I'm like, okay.
That's cool ninjas. Don't question it.
Well,
you don't want to question it. No,
it's called script writer's convenience.
Yes,
it's also a convenience because he was poking him, and I think Stick said, "Oh, his heart could stop if he keeps poking him," and then Luke Cage on the inside is not bulletproof, so it's kind of weird, I guess. I don't know what's going on. It's Negro magic. I can't explain it.
Negromancy.
Is it black magic, Run?
Oh my God!
Luke Cage also has a different kind of power called fuckromancy.
Yeah, he has that too. I'm telling you, man, Colleen's next. And he might get Karen Page if he messes around and goes on Daredevil.
Damn, so he wants that. At
some points, at some points, I thought that Punisher and Karen Page are going to go on it because they were like, I don't know.
They're going to be the same show this season, so.
And they have implied.
I heard. I know this is a little bit diverging, but I heard like in the comics, I think Ren mentioned this, like Karen Page is a drug addict or something like that.
She is in Born Again.
She was, yeah.
Yes.
That'll be interesting if they actually do that in the show. I don't know if they will.
Well, she sells out Daredevil's identity for the next hit.
Drugs.
Yes, she does.
Which
they made her like a pretty much just like a normal person in the show, so that's really weird.
And I think she actually gets AIDS at some point.
She does it all. Like
this is weird. I want to hear about this.
She's like a porno actor and everything, right?
Yeah. She becomes like she gets into porn. Well, no, she gets into porn. She gets strung out, gets into porn. She gets AIDS, and then she gets killed by Bullseye at a later point, and then that's Karen Page's done.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this right now. They're probably gonna change all that, and they might have her be killed by Bullseye
for a while.
Yeah, I think she might die by Bullseye, but the other stuff I don't know about. Maybe she will sell out Matt because Matt does. I think he did tell her like at the end of Daredevil season 2, "Hey, I'm Daredevil," so she does know at least. So.
Well, and in Defenders, when they have a conversation, he says like, "This is my life," like being Daredevil. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's they're going to change her reasoning for selling him out in the show as to that she no longer sees him as like a friend or something because of how many times like he's kind of, she's tried to be there for him, and he's sort of, been like, "Oh, well, I don't need your help," or, I can do stuff like that. It might be different reasons behind it. I'm guessing it's probably going to be more like something like that. Anyways, anybody else have anything to say about this one? I think we covered it actually. So
Yeah, I think we
move
did.
on.
Mhm.
Which one is okay? Number 6. I guess I'll read that one. Which characters were generally improved overall when it came to teaming up, and what would you like to see more of in that aspect?
I think everybody's gonna say pretty much Luke Cage.
Heroes for hire.
Iron Fist.
Yeah, Luke Cage. Not
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Heroes
is
for hire, man.
Actually, also
I
he
can't
was
think of
improved
anybody
by
else.
teaming up.
honestly.
It's, yeah, I'd say in this one it was definitely Iron Fist. He got more of a personality, it seems, when he's around a group of people. I genuinely hope if they do a season 2 for him, because I got a feeling we're probably going to end up doing it anyways. I
Oh, they
hope
are.
he gets more of a personality. He's more of a human being than a my home is Kung
I am the Iron Fist.
of the Iron Fist.
and the immortal weapon.
Like
What happened to my fist?
I mean,
he's a broken fucking record throughout like the first season. That's all he says, and it's just like, okay, that's great.
Don't
Wait, you
ever
guys-
play a drinking game to Iron Fist.
Yeah,
You take a
that's what
shot
it
every
is.
time he says it.
You will get alcohol poisoning immediately.
that'll kill a liver. Holy cow!
You guys just reminded me of something that I actually have a problem with. He always loses his ability to use an Iron Fist. Why?
Oh, because of his chi. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's- Which is weird, because that's not really a thing in the comics. Not like
Exactly.
that. Yeah, not nowhere near.
It's actually
Yeah,
irritating.
it
Like,
is
why he
really
loses
weird
this every
how he
single time?
loses.
No. That's called budget.
Actually, yeah, you're not wrong. I'm pretty sure Yellow Glow does take up a lot of budget. Actually,
Dude, it costs money.
Adobe After Effects is expensive. Okay.
Like, why does the hand glowing cost like about $10,000? We're tired of it.
because giving me Yellow Glove won't work as well.
We needed
No.
to downgrade from After Effects to Movie Maker.
Yeah. Dude, you can make it happen in Movie Maker. We can make it happen right now.
We're doing it in
I can
Sony
make it
Vegas
happen in
13.
Headphone.
Yeah. I tell you what,
The Windows Movie Maker subscription is dead.
I'll definitely say the Luke Cage Iron Fist. That's the thing I would want to see more of. But I won't lie. As much as I want to see that, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Jessica Jones cross over to Daredevil because they had really good chemistry.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
they
too.
did.
Yeah, now thinking about it, They
That
had
was
a lot
pretty underrated.
they had
It
more
could work
moments,
pretty
I
well,
think,
too.
than everybody else.
Well, like their scenes were just really good together. Like her snarkiness with like his being like super serious. Like he made the perfect straight man for her, like to kind of sneak in some comedic jabs.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think the scene where they were talking in Midland Circle and she's like, "Oh, you look like an asshole," and he's like, "Oh, it's your scarf." That was pretty actually funny.
Dude, I love
Oh
that.
yeah.
Or even
Yeah,
like the
they're
ears, like where she's like, "Oh, those are some nice ears," and he's like, "Horn."
Their horns.
I mean, it brought in a lot of nice, moments of levity. Like it kind of kept it from being so serious. Yeah, but I still would rather
Right.
see Luke Cage and Iron Fist. But I think Jessica Jones and Daredevil should. I want to see those two characters cross too.
And honestly, it'd be pretty easy too, because I mean, he's a lawyer and she's a,
Private eye.
Detective.
Yeah, thank you.
PI.
Yeah,
yeah.
A
and
private
she
eye.
owes him he owes her a camera too. Let's be fair here. He owes her a camera.
That is true. He did smash
Really?
it.
yeah.
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 Did I just
he-
forget this scene?
Yeah,
I-
when she took the pictures of him.
Yeah, she
yeah.
told him,
Very
and
first
then he smashed the camera because he didn't want her to find out he was Daredevil.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah, I
Nikon. Those ain't cheap.
I didn't even think about
Sure.
Daredevil and Jessica Jones. That would be a pretty like, yeah, I could easily see that like them teaming up, something like that, outside of Defenders. It would make sense. I mean, like we said, she's PI and he's a lawyer, so I feel like because of the shenanigans she gets into, she could easily get into some kind of legal trouble. He would be like her lawyer or something.
Yeah, pop out the pimp cane and say, "I'm here to rescue you."
And Luke Cage can be there for emotional support after she gets out.
There you go.
What kind of emotional support?
That's what we're calling it.
Coffee support.
Keep
I
it
guess.
PG.
Look, call it what it is, man. It's coffee, man. It's
The
coffee.
D support.
Right.
Like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Like Luke Cage changed coffee for an entire generation.
Hey, you want to get
Different flavor
coffee,
of coffee
baby?
today.
Oh, that's nasty. That's so sick.
Oh, it's coffee with the Hulk or Rocket
You want
Man.
some?
Oh my
You
god,
guys want some
why?
cream in that coffee?
Oh God.
Hang on, if he
I'm sorry, I
fucks
had
Bruce
to.
Banner, will Bruce Banner turn the Hulk mid orgasm?
Look,
No.
we already know this with the Hulk movie. If he has sex and he gets angry, he will crush the lady's vagina. So
I feel sorry for that lady.
Man, the Hulk should do porn.
Okay, we're turning left now.
Next question. They don't want to hear our,
Number 7.
yes, number 7, please.
How did you feel about the villains of the show this time around? Oh, okay.
feel
I can
we
talk
talked
about
this,
this.
like, 3 times.
Let Chaos go
So
first.
probably the worst part of the show, to be completely honest. Okay, so Elektra was fine. I won't say Elektra was bad.
Serviceable.
Elektra, yeah, Alexandria, because I forgot her name too. Alexandria,
That actually is her first name.
or Alec, yeah. She, like I said before, I already said my problems with her. She's never really given sufficient development. She's not really intimidating as a villain. She's like, it's only spoken about like what she's capable of, but we never actually really see what she can do aside from maybe like a couple of scenes. And it just doesn't really cement her as a good villain. She's not a good villain as like the main villain for the show, and it kind of did pull the rug out from under me when I saw. I mean, I was kind of suspecting that Elektra would betray her, but I didn't expect her to kill her like that. So it kind of pulls out the rug from under you, and then Elektra's the main villain. She's a good villain because she's actually an established character. As opposed to Alexandra, who just kind of comes out of nowhere. But yeah, she was a good villain. Alexandra was just
Alexandria was intriguing. I like.
She was. That's my problem. Is that she was
seeing a
intriguing, but
villain
nothing.
that
They
felt
didn't go anywhere with.
human. Oh, you're fine. My bad. But she felt human in some sort of weird way. Seeing her go and get a cancer diagnosis before you know all the shit she's about to do does feel very kind of like, oh, that's a little strange. I love Sigourney Weaver, huge fan of her. I was sad to see her not get as much screen time as I wish she had.
Yeah, because
I feel like she died on too quickly. Honestly, that age is too underdeveloped.
It was unexpected, but once again, she's a big time actor, so I wish I would have saw more of her work on screen, make her more of an intimidating force. Killing her off so fast had that sort of Sam Jackson effect in Deep Blue Sea. Like, you got this guy here.
That was funny.
It was funny.
It was funny, but in this context, I guess they were setting her up. She was serious, and then all of a sudden, she gets porked in the guts. So it's like, oh well, she's gone. Goodbye, Alexandria. But I just wish there was more screen time with her in it.
Well, wasn't she shooting this at the same time the Ghostbusters remake had her come in from one scene?
I don't remember. Probably.
That one scene took up most of her time.
I seriously wonder if she regrets that.
She probably does.
Well,
like,
no.
I have to get off the set of the Defenders. I have to go for the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot.
I mean, I can definitely say, like, kind of what y'all were talking about. First off, the Hand. I don't think the Hand is a good villain. At least not the way that they're portraying them on the Netflix shows. I actually,
Yeah.
to kind of echo what y'all were saying about Samuel Jackson and Deep Blue Sea, I felt the same way about Alexandra, but more like in the same way I felt about Cottonmouth on Luke Cage. Like, it was like, you're giving me this, but Cottonmouth got a lot more character development than Alexandra did. So it's like, you give me the promise of a good villain, and then you snatch her away and don't really do anything with her. So it's like, why even have Sigourney Weaver on the show if you're not going to develop a character? But kind of like going back to the one African guy, he was more intimidating than anybody else on the show.
Oh yeah,
as far as like the hand.
He was really good because psychologically he was getting into people's minds about their past, misdeeds or things they messed up on. He was really, really hammering in the point, and then they killed him off in that one episode. And it's like, well, where's the potential of setting up all these fingers of the hand only for them to get murdered like in one episode?
I mean, like no more black on black violence or that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and then you've got
a lot of murder in that one.
Oh yeah. Well, then it leaves you with Bakuto, who is not that interesting at all.
Not anymore. He's not. He was
No, definitely not.
Bakuto turned into a stalker. He really did.
Yeah. And I didn't like that. And then Madame Gao, who I think up to this point she was probably one of the better villains they've had on the show.
She's hands down the best hand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love that.
But the thing is, they basically just kind of keep her in the background for most of the whole season. So it's just kind of like, y'all are playing this weird shell game with your villains, and it's like you keep playing keep away with the good ones, but you keep shoving the bad ones in front of me.
Not only that, but with Madame Gao, she's really kind of a pussy. When it came to Alexandra, she was just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but I thought the reason for that was because Alexandra was supposed to be the most powerful of all of them or something like that. But she's never
supposed to be.
Still,
that's the thing. She's supposed to be. We never see it though. We hear about it, but we don't see it. It's just tell, don't show, and that's the problem. I want to say that's probably because budget, but I don't know.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But I think budget also hurt Iron Fist. Iron Fist, there was a lot more they could have done with showing Kung Lao, and you could really tell that they couldn't because budget.
Yep.
Also, did I hear Kung Lao from Mortal Kombat? Not Kung Lao.
Kung Lao. I didn't catch that.
Oh god, I always mix up the names in my head. I'm just like, is it Kung something? It's Kung Pao Chicken. Fuck it.
Yeah,
I
was gonna say that.
For Kung Pao Chicken.
Man, I'm hungry now. Fuck.
All right, so can we move on to question number 7 if we're done?
Yep.
All right, sure. I can read that. So how?
Wait, hold on.
Oh wait, number 8.
Yeah, we did number 7. Number 8.
Not Xing off the question really gets me sometimes, but number 8.
What? Quickly, breaking news. Mm-hmm. The showrunner of Iron Fist season 2 started his career with the movie Elektra.
Oh,
are you serious?
Yep.
That's
the proof right there.
That's not good.
Oh, that's really bad news.
I see this and I'm like, okay, let's see what showrunner is.
Oh god.
He also did a TV show, Falling Skies, which was kind of okay, and then Sleepy Hollow, and I think he only worked on the last
sounds like
couple
it's been very mixed though, because Sleepy Hollow was a good movie though.
Okay. He was a writer and showrunner of everything after season 2 of Sleepy Hollow, the TV series, and he was a writer of Heroes Reborn.
I never saw that show. I never saw that show, so I can't judge it. Was it bad or good?
I can judge it. Heroes Reborn sucked a little bit less than the later seasons of Heroes, but didn't do anything good.
Didn't light the world on fire, definitely.
That sounds pretty bad. Well, Iron Fist, hopefully you rest in a grave somewhere, because it doesn't seem like you might be getting a super good second season. Maybe you will, maybe you won't.
Go ahead and queue up Moon Knight. So go ahead and make that a thing.
Was it? Oh, sorry. Never mind. I'm reading something else. Please continue.
All right, so we're gonna move on to number 8. What parts of the Defenders do you think could have been fixed or adjusted to be better scenes overall? Definitely Danny getting his ass kicked by Daredevil. I think that should have been a lot more fair.
It should have been a lot longer of him getting his ass beat for a bit longer. Just
that
fucking
actually
hope he learns.
that actually would be a comedy act if they did that.
I'd be fine with that.
I don't.
And
comedy.
that's what add in the cheesy Batman effects.
Yes, bow, pow.
I'd be fine with that scene. I wouldn't bitch too much. I'd
But-
bitch, not too much.
But seriously, I do think they should have been a little bit more on par. And another scene I think they could have fixed is possibly the entire subplot that they had going on with Jessica Jones and that guy who was a terrorist. I think maybe that could have been a little bit more emotionally fleshed out, even though they had a little bit of time to work with. This
And the
scene
guy
in
with the
particular.
bombs?
Yeah, the guy with the bombs, because it wasn't really made clear until the end. I think that scene should have been
Yeah.
somewhere
It was
later in the
basically
plot.
Schrodinger's gun.
Yeah, it should have been somewhere later in the plot, because you don't piece it together until it's all over, and then you're like, well, that was a thing.
Oh yeah, that's how
I had to wait a
that's how it
long
came
time to see it, but it happened, you know?
Well, I understand why they did it. If they had to have bombs in a certain location for somewhere, and they also had to introduce Misty to Jessica and all that. I get it, but I do agree they should have fleshed that out a lot better.
I also think the bombing scene in particular, it felt really forced, because it's like that's the only alternative you have to stopping the Hand, just blowing up a building and hoping it crushes the secret mystical tunnel that it opened up in Kunlun. I don't know how this one building falling is the end of the Hand, but I don't think that was explained well either.
Well, the
Yeah.
Hand is like a huge,
It's
basically
a-
Illuminati fucking thing, so I don't know how you could end the Hand.
They're basically just hoping, hey,
They're
once the leaders
everywhere.
are dead, everything will fall apart. That's what they're hoping.
Yeah, it seems like they rushed for an ending, which isn't the best thing, to be honest, because like I said, I think Chaos, and I think also Bane said this earlier, like they ran out of budget, so that little plot got shoehorned in particular at the end, and I just wasn't impressed by it. I think I would have fixed it in a way where the Hand definitely still was around at the end of that plot, as opposed to saying, well, all the fingers of the Hand are dead now, so accept it.
The way I would have done it is this group of Hand people, they want us dead. Fuck it, let's just kill them. We won't have to worry about any more Hand for a little while at least. That's the way I would have done it.
Yeah.
It makes more sense like that.
Or set up the new villains in particular that you might have that could come back and be a big threat to the city again.
Oh yeah, they didn't really set up for anything other than just the characters going to different things.
Yep. It's just like it ends, it shows the respective characters having their ending, and then there's no other setup besides Punisher,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think Punisher will set something up like the new villains of whatever they're going to do?
Possibly. I mean, in Daredevil season 1, they alluded to the Hand coming in there, so
Yeah.
it's very possible they could
They had
do.
an anchor with Yao and all that, so
Yeah, they could do the same with Punisher. There's this unknown person around, and they might, shoehorn him in, or maybe there's vampires at the end. That will
Well, we
be.
know
oh god.
we know Jigsaw. Jigsaw is definitely in it, but so we know there's at least that.
He wants to play a game. Well,
Uh,
not that Jigsaw, but
Yeah, different Jigsaw, different Jigsaw.
yeah.
You know what? Tell you what.
Hungry
Why don't we have a
Hippos.
multiverse crossover where we have Jigsaw versus Jigsaw? Screw it.
He has to
Jigsaw
fight.
uses plot holes and bad writing to.
Billy Russo has to fight the small midget Jigsaw. That's a puppet. He has to at least punch it in the face.
The Billy puppet.
Billy.
Yeah, the Billy
Uh,
puppet.
The reason why I know that is I've watched all those goddamn movies.
So in regards to the scenes that could have been fixed, I've mentioned this already, but pretty much anything, well, not anything, but like a lot of what they did with Alexandra, like, they, like I said before, they could have definitely a lot more with her character, and they just didn't really do much with her. It was kind of disappointing. I don't know. Definitely some of the fights near the end, like we've mentioned, also that they ran out of budget, so they could have used some editing magic, maybe less obvious editing.
They used a lot of editing magic.
Yeah, just make it flow better than just maybe just cuts here, just obvious cuts that maybe. But I don't know. They could have, if they ran out of budget, they could have tried to do some find some way around that. But yeah, I don't know. There's not really much that I think I would have done differently. I think for the most part it was fine. The whole Danny and Daredevil fight, like I said, I'm not really familiar with the comics, so I don't know that they're on the same level. But yeah, I think that, judging from what we know of Danny from the show and how much training he's gone through, he should definitely gotten the upper hand with Daredevil, if not, have gone toe to toe with him and been on equal footing, because he really should actually be more trained than Daredevil. And in the Marvel Netflix series, he just comes off as a just complete novice most of the time, even though he's been training his entire life. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't know. That's one of my main problems with him.
I mean, I'll say for me, probably talking about like problems, the things that needed to be like sussed out. Man, it's really
the electric stuff too, I guess.
It really just comes down to pacing. In
regards to that, I did like the scenes where she goes back to Matt's apartment and she regains parts of her memory. Like, that was good. I thought those were good character moments. But
that was fine. But it's just like the pacing overall, like the whole. Yeah, we're dragging through 2 episodes to get to them teaming up. We're dragging through more episodes to get them to realize that they need to stay together. And it's like, I get that a lot of that needs to happen, but it's like, I feel like we should have had them finally catching up at the end of the first episode, not the second episode. Yeah, we should have gotten this is the one season. I usually always harp on them for doing the 13 episode seasons, because out of 13 episodes, usually only 7 of them are actually good episodes, maybe 8. I was like, this is the one time you could have done 13 and it would have been okay. At least 10.
It's weird. It's so weird that they did that this one is shorter, and this is supposed to be the big series that's supposed to tie everything. Well, not everything, but to tie all these characters together into one show, and it's short.
There's a lot more backstory, which now that I think about it, I like the 8-episode format, but I don't like the fact that there's so much backstory. It's like, yeah, they should have done 13 episodes at this point, because I think that backstory would have been fleshed out in one entire episode, and then we wouldn't have to deal with it when it came to them teaming up.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree with that.
Okay, so I think unless anybody else has anything to say, I think we should probably move on to the last question. All right, I guess we'll go ahead with that. In conclusion, Defenders was the lowest watched Netflix show of the MCU. What do you think Marvel should do to avoid this again?
Ooh,
that is surprising. I don't think I knew that.
Don't follow the same format as each show when it comes to an origin story, maybe. I think people are getting tired of that fact. Yes, we know who this character is. I hope they don't do that in Punisher outside of the pivotal flashbacks, of course, of him being in the war. But there shouldn't be an episode where it's there shouldn't be an episode where it's like, hey, he's from Daredevil season 2. He did all this stuff.
Hey, you remember this guy?
Yeah, let's focus on this stuff. It's like, I just heard about it before,
So you're saying that this is even lower? This is even lower on the scale than Iron Fist than.
Yes, it's the lowest watch.
Less people watch this than Iron Fist.
Yes. Which is weird, because I feel like everybody was watching it.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing though. I think Iron Fist left a bad taste in people's mouth, and they're waiting for the
That could
watermelon to
be.
come out.
That makes sense. I can believe that.
I sort of. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say like, or maybe people saw that Iron Fist was going to be in the show, and because
And
he's
tuned out 'cause
associated
of-
with that, yeah, because he's associated with that bad season, he's in here, and people probably didn't want to watch it because of it.
I can believe that too. I can believe that too.
See, I would pose 3 different things. One, I'd lower the episode count to like 6. Kind of trim the fat. Those first 2 episodes weren't necessary, and there were a couple of scenes that you could have just trimmed. Second one is focus more on its own story instead of having like the Hand, who's been teased for so long, have more of its own thing for Defenders that is hinted at in those, but not like, I mean, Iron Fist, a whole season of the Hand.
It was in
There's
Daredevil too.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
I just was focused, like, Iron Fist, just non-stop the Hand.
Too much hand, yeah.
Yeah, too much fist, also.
Hand job.
Of course. And the third thing I would say is focus on, like, again, I'm going back to the Arrowverse. Look at what they're doing. They have, again, longer running shows, but they have more of a, even if you don't know who these characters are, you'll learn, these characters interact. You'll learn who they are by association. I like that. I wish that they'd kind of done that with this for the people who maybe just watched Daredevil and didn't know who Jessica Jones were or any of those, or who just watched one and then didn't care about the others. You'll learn over time. You'll get to know these people.
Yeah.
You should focus on it. Sorry. Go on.
No, you're
I don't know if it was the reasons for why it's the lowest watched show was because of Iron Fist, or if it was maybe because I know that they were promoting the show quite a bit from what I remember. So it doesn't. I don't think there's any problem in the advertisement.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with the advertisements. They show a lot of trailers showing off the story and what was going to happen. But I think it's like Brandon said, Iron Fist left a bad taste. So that might be why people avoided it. Also, I think the reviews probably had something to do with it as well. I was going to mention that. Yeah, because
I was going to mention that. It's probably a combination of things. I think it's not only Iron Fist. Maybe there are some, because there are other shows that people might have watched before this one in regards to the Marvel Netflix stuff, and maybe they were underwhelmed by it, not just Iron Fist, and they just were like, oh, well, I'm not going to watch this one because I didn't like the other show. Could be that, and it could also just be the reviews because, not all the reviews were incredibly positive, and I mean, I'm not saying they should be because it's not the greatest show. I think that, like we've all said, it doesn't really live up to the hype that it was trying to be one of the best Marvel Netflix shows because it's trying to bring all these characters together, but it's not like Avengers level. It's not, and I think a lot of the reviews basically say that, so people might have been like drawn away from it. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's not, it's not what you might have been expecting, I guess.
I think the buzzword for people was slow burn, and as soon as people saw that, they were like, "Yeah, I pretty much I don't have time to binge watch, so I'm not going to watch."
Yeah, some people just want instant gratification in that regard. They want they want to be drawn in immediately, and that's not always going to happen, especially not with this. So, yeah, they're probably going to be disappointed.
It's sad because it's decent. It's really decent. Yeah, it's a lot better than Iron Fist.
It's like when you get into it, it does definitely get good. So I feel like that's kind of not. That's kind of a bad way to approach something like this. You just kind of need to give it some time, and then when it does get going, it gets good. So I mean, I just think that's kind of dumb in my opinion. You need to give stuff. You just give it a chance, and you might actually like it. So. I mean, that's at least my mentality when approaching most things.
So this is kind of random, but if I am hearing correctly, like a lot of what we liked was mostly the team aspect and like how Luke Cage and the Iron Fist were working well together. Yes. Do you think that do you think that the Defenders can in season 2 kind of expand on that a bit more to try and play to what people actually do like? and then just kind of go with that more so than with either everyone alone or everyone together.
Well, it's a team-based show, so everyone should be together, technically speaking.
Yes.
Because
Technically speaking,
sometimes
yeah,
some
but-
episodes you have, Danny and Luke, or Jessica and Daredevil. That's most episodes we have, or all of them are together in one room. That's usually what it is most of the time.
Yeah, it felt weird. I felt like there were moments where all four characters were not together all the time, which is not what I expected. Like, it would be this random pairing sometimes, and I understand, yeah, some events happen, Danny gets kidnapped, I know, but at the same time, I felt there could have been more of a group dynamic than just putting him in one episode, taking him apart in the next one, keeping him apart in the next episode. It got a little bit disjointed, and I think if they would have kept them together, especially in the key moments where, you know, they're fighting and everything and it really counts, I think it would have been a lot better received.
I think if there is a season 2, then there definitely needs to be more development with the group like we've been saying, group dynamic, the relationship between all of them as a whole, and there just needs to be more done with that, and not so much of them just kind of splitting apart like there was in the first season. I just want to see more, just more interaction between all of them, and just more development across the board, not just with mainly with Luke and Danny. I mean, obviously, like we've said, there were good scenes with Daredevil and Jessica Jones, but those were mostly, like, as from what I remember, like in the beginning of the show, and after that, there wasn't a lot of it. So I felt like that could definitely be an improvement. It's something they could work on in the future seasons.
Yeah, having them together, the payoff should be a lot more satisfying than what we got. That's how I feel. All right, so
Anybody
is
else?
that it for the last question? Anyone else?
I think really quickly the whole villains thing, because I know that a lot of you guys didn't like Alexandra, right? Isn't that her name?
It's not that I didn't like her. I just thought that she was she was kind of just missed potential, because she could have been better than what she was. I think she was underwhelming. I guess, is the more-
Okay.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Same
Okay.
here.
Never mind then.
All right. So we're going to close off this podcast and do outros. So I guess, Bane, you can tell us where we can find you, buddy.
Twitter @BaneForYou. I just retweet a whole bunch of shit and sometimes tweet my YouTube stuff out. So yeah.
Mr. Chaos?
You can find me on here, obviously, and you can find me on my YouTube and Twitter at Captain Chaos.
Brandon, where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me as a man of nowhere, no man's land.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. On Twitter, my name's going to change soon, but it's Arcane Magic 514. I just upload a bunch of bullshit like Siege, and I chill with these knuckleheads. Right, Renegade?
Yeah, fuck you. All right, Mr.
Yeah,
Mr. Bart Tan, where can we find you, buddy?
I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Bartane, and then my YouTube is Bartane as well. I upload videos like 3 a week, something like that. So if you guys want to come out, awesome.
I wish I had your schedule.
Dude, right now my body is killing me because I'm going to school
I-
and working, and it's
I
hell.
haven't made a real video in 2 months, and I'm fucking terrified.
Dude,
That's-
editing
sorry.
is hard, especially if like something goes wrong. You're just like, God, why?
All right, completely off topic. I had a video I was working on for an entire month, almost finished. Laptop crashed. I had to build a new computer.
Oh my God!
I don't want to remake it.
Yeah, dude. I'm not
What
gonna
were you
lie, I
making?
feel for you.
I'll explain it to you later. I'll send you a link to the first episode.
All right.
All right, we got an outro, Dr. Goon. So where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me on Twitter mostly at Blurred-Fear, and you can also find me on YouTube at Blurred Without Fear. I upload comic book breakdowns, movie reviews, and whatnot. Yeah, I've usually twice a week, but every once in a while you might get 3 or 4 a week from me, depending on what's going on.
And you can find me on Twitter at RentOperative_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. I recently talked about The Last of Us Part 2 and controversy with that, so if you want to watch that, that's live on my channel right now. Hopefully I get this podcast up by tomorrow, but no promises because we are watching Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2, Volume 2, whatever. Supposedly people say that movie is not as good as the first, so we're still gonna watch
I
it.
disagree.
A bit mixed, I think.
I think the movie's
it's
fine.
better. Some say
Yeah.
it's not as good.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of paradigm.
The second half is better than the first one. I'll say.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
starts off kind of slow.
Hmm.
Well, not even slow. It gets weird in the middle and then picks back up at the end.
Well,
Interest-
it gets fun weird, not bad weird.
Yeah.
Interesting, but I really like the first movie. I'm gonna give this one a shot. Hopefully, it's really good. Even if it's not better than the first movie, I still hope I'm still thoroughly entertained at the end. So I'm gonna see what happens tomorrow. But this is the Infinite Ammo Syndicate signing off. This was a fun, wacky adventure of a podcast, and we will see you guys next time. So later out there in YouTube land.
See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Adios.
I need a drink.